Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single barrel only liquor store. This store is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Get signed up for their email distribution list to find out when the store will be opening, what their hours will be, and most importantly, what they will have in inventory at abvbarrelshop.com. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebartogo.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show. Hey, gang, what's going on?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Vacation continues. So we are early on in the vacation. So if you're listening to this, you didn't hear yesterday, we're on vacation for a little while here, summer vacation 2022. But we are playing some of the best of, and we're starting out our vacation by playing some of the Bourbon Talk Show. This is episode 2 of season 3. Jason Fruits and Elba Giron. Great show, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry. I'm just like out of it today.
So Elba is with Maker's Mark. She's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy watching her personal account. I mean, you know, she's such a family oriented person. I tried to take the interview down the road of that. And then Jason Fruits, I mean, you know, he's like part of the ABV Network family. I mean, that guy he's gold.
We love Jason. Guy. We love Elba too. Yeah. They're both great.
Yeah.
They're both great. But Jason's a really cool dude.
He is, and he's really good to us. He's going to be featured at the ABV Barrel Shop, which is kind of cool. And yeah, he's just made things really nice to work with. And of course, enjoy this interview where we talk to Jason Fruits and Elba Giron.
Let's drink!
Now I'd like to introduce our first guest. He is the owner of the distillery, Old 55 Distillery in Newtown, Indiana. I have found him to be an incredibly nice guy, and I think you will too. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Jason Fruits. Hey, Jason.
Hey.
What's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Good to see you all. Always good to see you.
Absolutely. So we always like to kick off the first one with nothing to do with business or anything like that, because part of the show is getting to know the individuals behind these brands on a personal basis. So the first question, and probably not even realistic, of course, because you're a business owner and I know it's very tough to get away. But theoretically, if you could get away for 2 weeks, and this was, whatever had to happen to make that happen. We're not saying it's really going to happen, but in theory, if you could get away for 2 weeks, where would you go if you had 2 weeks of time on your hand to take some sort of vacation?
Man, that sounds amazing.
Yes, I know.
I would. You guys know this. So our middle son, I have to say, so I only had boys, and now I have a 3-month-old little girl, and she's amazing. So that's fun. Yeah. She's going to be a pistol McNew. You're going to have a protege there.
I bet she is.
Yeah. So she gets it on us. So we decided to restart there, but our middle son is special needs. So he's deafblind, and he's keeps us on our toes, to say the least. So if I think, man, I just be me and the wife, and I think like Hawaii or somewhere,
sure.
The beach, just drinks, Mai Tais, nothing to do, which takes me about a week to wind down, and then about a week to chill out, and then I'm ready to get back to work. So that'd be perfect.
That would be nice. Boy, I love it. Have you been to Hawaii before?
I have. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's nice, isn't it? It's definitely laid back, getting the fresh fruit and stuff like that you can get on there. It's just so much better there. It's better. It really is.
Well, my wife has never been, and it's kind of like a bucket thing. Like I would love, that would be the one right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm stopping the rental cars. I see the guy on the side of the road with the coconut, and he, chops the top off with the big machete and you drink the coconut milk right from it. It's chilled. Oh man. Just everything about there is fun. There's a lot of, history and cool things to see and do. And of course, let's not forget, just sitting around on the beach is not a bad gig sometimes.
Absolutely.
Just decompressing. Yep. So yeah, for sure. Well, your family is in the farming / grain business. So, take us back to the first conversations when you guys decided to get into the distilling business. Cause that had to be an interesting take. Who brought it up first in the family?
Well, my dad definitely gets credit for all of this from start to finish. And you guys know this, and fans of us know this. Like, my dad doesn't drink. He's never had a sip of beer or liquor in his life. So, he is about as close to Jesus as you can get for putting up with me and my siblings. So he's incredible, but, he had really been wanting to diversify. So family owns grain elevators. And, I know you guys have probably heard the story as well, but if you would have told me I'd been back in Newtown in my late teens, early 20s, I'd punch you in the mouth. It was never happening. And it's a tiny little town in West Central Indiana. And my dad is an evil genius. He has us all back. So we are all working for Pops. It's hilarious. So, and somehow he weaseled us in that we all love it. We wouldn't want to be doing anything else. I don't know how he did it, but it's incredible. So he wanted to diversify, and this is like circa 2008.
Okay.
2007, 2008. And diesel prices in 2008 were just through the roof, and they'd never seen anything like that in our business. And we truck a lot of grain. We have a lot of trucks that drive, semi-truck drivers that drive for us 24 hours a day almost. And so we went to Kentucky, actually, and we're looking at starting a biodiesel operation. And we have like a bean squeezer. And so we make kind of the spool fat product for dog food makers across the country. And there are all these little side gigs. And, I do anything for my dad. Somehow I'm the business minded one, which is scary for my siblings. But so we just, making dog food is not sexy, Steve. It's not sexy at all. So my little brother, my little brother and sister are twins, but my little brother, Aaron, who's my best buddy and my right-hand man, my dad's right-hand man, he gets credit. So he was like, let's make whiskey. Like, we had always had this joke because the family's so conservative, right? We have all this corn, millions and millions of bushels.
Yeah.
Let's make whiskey. And I was like, so he got me started on that. And so I just that's kind of my personality. I did the deep dive, and, building business plans and building businesses is kind of what I do. And, so Aaron gets the credit, and Aaron gets the credit on kicking me off the cliff, and Dad gets the credit for putting up with all the craziness and making it happen. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, as you mentioned, siblings, kind of small town, kind of want to get away and spread up. Dad comes up with this amazing plan to keep everybody together in small town USA. And Old 55 is a family affair. So what's it like working with your family every single day?
It is super rewarding, and it can be challenging. I think everybody knows that.
Sure,
luckily,
so. Yeah.
My siblings and my parents, I'm just the luckiest guy on the planet. Like, I have the greatest parents. My siblings are awesome. They all just absolutely kick butt in their own way. I will tell you, this will sum it up. So, if you've been to the tasting room, you've probably had a cocktail or met my little sister, who is incredibly successful interior designer. She kind of does it as a side gig, just basically helping us out. Now I've weaseled her in full, full strength. I roped her in. She lives in Carmel and drives on the weekend to help us out. She's just incredible. And I tell her this is the conversation we had, and this will sum it all up. So I can be pretty blunt. That's kind of my, especially with my siblings. So I always tell her, I say, listen, if I hurt your feelings because I'm telling the truth, I don't care. But if I'm being an a-hole, you need to tell me. So that's kind of how it works. So
that's your deal.
Okay. She's gotten better at telling me when I'm, like, hey, you need to chill. And then other times she's like, yeah, that's just my feelings getting hurt. You're right. So yeah, it's fun to build these adult relationships, right? With like the little ones you grew up with. And like, it's just funny, those interpersonal, like I always joke, and my siblings roll their eyes, but there is a hint of truth. Like, I'm the middle child, so I'm the most unloved, but that also makes me the strongest, toughest, and meanest, you know what I mean? So they kind of, they defer to me. I always joke, we kind of run everything by family committee. I'm just like this is kind of actually a terrible joke right now with everything going on, but I always say I'm kind of like Stalin if you make me mad to go to the gulag. So, but yeah. So bad timing for that joke. I'm gonna have to kick that one to the curb, I think, for a while. So yeah.
Let's put a pause on that one for a minute.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I worked with my dad. I had a corporate job, but I worked with my dad for 10 years of my time there. And I'll tell you what, I loved it. People say, what's it like, working with your dad? And there's people look down on you and be like, you got this job because of your dad, because he was a vice president there. I didn't care. Because I didn't care what they think. I got to work with my dad. Every day I'd go in. I was, you start work at 8. My dad's an early guy. That's how he moves up the corporates and all that. He was just so I knew he'd be there. So I get there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I get up early, go hang out with my dad for 2 hours, sitting in his office, drinking coffee, talking, chatting about stuff. I
love it.
And then every single day we went to lunch together. Every single day. People be like,
"That's amazing."
Yeah.
I don't take it. I know your relationship with your dad, and it always kind of makes me smile, both literally and on the inside, because like it's just you can't take any of that for granted. And like,
right.
I mean, my dad is that if I could sum this entire, I love making bourbon. I always joke, like the distillery was a business plan that, and it's worked out, and it's been pretty lucrative for us. It's been amazing, and it's been fun, and it's just cool. But if I could, and I fell into love with, distilling just because of the nerdery of it, and just how much the devil's in the details and how much you can make it your own. But my favorite part of everything is, we've had some, some interested parties in being involved with us from Kentucky, and they always, just developing that relationship with your dad, where now we have, not only is it father son, and that will always be there, but like, he trusts me implicitly, and like I tell people all the time, like that's always. I've heard all those business interests ask my dad, and they're like, so, because when we started this thing, I was 28 years old. I was an idiot. I'm still an idiot. I'm just I work hard to make up for the dumbness, but just the listen to them. They always ask him the same question, and they say, "Did you ever doubt him?" And he never pauses. He's like, "Nope, not once." And then they look over at me, and they're like, how? And I'm like, I always tell people this, like, I don't think you understand when you borrow the kind of money, like, which first of all, we don't come from any money. We're from we're the all-American success story. I'm third generation building this business in West Central Indiana, and we're diversifying, and it's just an all-American dream. When you borrow, first of all, that kind of money, millions of dollars to start a distillery from the man you love and respect most on the planet, like, failure is not an option. Like, we never stop. Like, we just keep working. And I think it's one of the neatest things we do. People always say we have the coolest story, being farm to bottle in all estate bourbons. And I'm like, man, the story was made. It all just kind of pieced together, and it is super neat, man. I think we do something incredibly amazing, and I put it all on my dad's shoulders. He's the one that makes it all. He's the one that trusted me, even though, like I always say, it's crass, but he gave me all the tools. I just had to poop the bed, and trust me, I pooped the bed plenty of times. I just when it's all in your lap, you gotta learn, and then you clean it up, and you start over and try something different. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I am, and I've told you this many times, I'm a huge fan of your cask strength sweet corn bourbon. It's literally top 5 all-time favorite whiskeys. I love that stuff. And I know you've had some supply chain issues this year, but what can you tell us about the upcoming release, and when's this happening? Do you know when this is happening yet?
Yeah. So, breaking news.
Okay.
I'm hopefully going to, and I was saving this for you guys. I actually called my supplier today, so I should be getting glass in the coming week. So I'm hoping within the month. So check your emails from us for sure, because we always give that. If you let us send you an email, you get kind of a week's heads up on when it's going to be available in the tasting room. It's pretty cool. So if you would have asked me 6 months ago, I would have told you, Steve, it's my fault. Like, I should have started earlier. I knew like stuff was going on, but it was just a busy year, and it was kind of. Now it's no longer my fault. It's just craziness. It's just everything that's going on in the world of business right now with supply chain. You hate to throw stuff off on COVID. But so we've got some pretty cool decanters coming from Glencairn, Scotland, and it's a whole new packaging. And I think
I can't wait.
When you see it, it's going to be it's super cool. It's coming in a box, it's awesome. So hopefully, like I said, give me a month. I'm thinking a month. So yeah.
Yeah, I just have a lot of people ask me, and you can verify this. I check in from time to time. Where are we at on this? I try not to bother you. I leave enough time in between, Yeah.
You guys are never bothering me. I always love hearing from you, and I don't mind asking it all. Trust me, I get about 100 of those emails a day, and I will tell you this: we're going to have more barrels. So we're doing we're going to do 5 barrels of it, which is 5 times more than we've ever done.
That's cool.
But I think it's going to go about 100 times faster. I don't think I'm going to be able to. I think about a weekend and it's going to be gone, which is crazy to me. But this is the plan, is to kind of up this and with going. So basically bottle and bond will be the lowest proofing at 100 and barrel strength. And I'm going to do about 75-25 is kind of in my head. And I always say like my terrible comment earlier, I'm kind of stalling. It's kind of, if it's in my head, it kind of happens. So that's my plan. I mean, I'm with you. I love that barrel strength product. It's just, I think it's the neatest version of that. And the sweet corn is going to be the death of me, but it's just so unique and super cool. It's fun.
It's such a great product. And the biggest thing is for someone who either hasn't tasted it or doesn't know anything about it, there's sticker shock. But if they know what goes into making that and they know how it tastes, that all goes away. No one's who's trying that and drinking that or sat through the webinar, which I'll put that, folks, in the link in the notes here. So if you're to check out the description, I'll have that in our video here where you can click on that and see what exactly that product goes into it. But yeah, once you do that, no, the cost isn't even a factor. This is when you save them. This is when you buy, and you don't drink it in a weekend. You buy it, and you do a pour when it's a great day or a bad day, but it's one of those days that stands out. That's when you drink that.
It's incredible. And there is some, like I said, there is some sticker shock to me on it too. I'm always kind of stunned by what we charge for that and how fast people buy it, but it is, I've never met anyone that doesn't like it, and it is, and the people that do like it are like rabidly crazy about it. It's fun. It's just so unique. I mean, I know your audience has heard me say this. I would not, if it wasn't so unique and just amazing and different, I wouldn't make it because it is just an abysmal pain in my butt. But it's awesome.
Yeah. So next question is kind of a two-parter, but it's a simple one. What's the best part of your job, and then what's the worst part? There's got to be something that you don't really like that part of the gig.
So the wife and I just did this big 5, like personality, like psychological big 5. That turns out that I'm like 0 percentile in politeness, so I'm kind of like obnoxious. And I am like, what is it? 99th percentile and like an opposite of agreeableness. So like, I don't like authority. The best part of my job is working for myself, man. I love not having,
you and I line up. That's me too.
I was with you. I was with you. I worked in corporate America, like helped run a casino, and don't get me wrong. I love people. I'm an extrovert, but like, at some point, I just like to get things done on my own. And that's the best part. The worst part is working for yourself too, because it's your problem. You know what I mean? Like if you make a mess, it makes you really efficient. Let's leave it at that. Like you don't, and a lot of people don't realize this. It is literally me and my siblings. My mom just retired. She was a PE teacher for 33 years. So she's been helping me all year bottle. It's pretty cool because she's out and just kind of does like she just loves to kind of nitpick around and like help me do stuff. It's fun. And like, it's just the family. It's just us. So when I say distill, like people are always like, how many people work here? You guys make a lot of whiskey. And I'm like, there's like 4 of us. And they're like, what? And I'm like, we work a lot. I mean, it's kind of, we're all kind of there hammering away, but it's like I said, I mean, it's kind of the best. it's the best and the worst, it's crazy.
Oh yeah, I agree. I totally get that. And especially goes back to that, our theoretical question. I mean, if you work that corporate job and you want to take 2 weeks off, you could make that happen. They don't typically like you taking 2 weeks off, but you can make that happen. I mean, I did that when I went to Hawaii, for instance. But when you own your own job, it's not really in play. You gotta be there. You can't afford to take 2 weeks off. So
it never stops, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing too.
Yeah. Well, we've got some exciting news because we are in season 3, and in season 3, we've added the McNew question right in the middle of the interview. We toss it over to McNew and make sure that she gets a question in for our guests. So, McNew, what'd you come up with?
All right. Question number 5 is, you collaborate a lot with Moontown Brewing out of Whitestown, Indiana. It looks like they age some of their beer in your barrels. So tell us a little bit more about them and what they're doing.
So we have more than like 3 handfuls of breweries, wineries. Everybody uses our barrels across the Midwest. We haven't really got across the country yet. We've got some kind of new cool stuff. We'll see. But the Moontown, just an awesome family, super good people. The Mattingly's there, and Cody, the brewer. Where they get spoiled, and they laugh about this, is my house is about 140 yards away from the brewery. So it is pretty awesome because that's like, in my backyard. And then logistically, I'm like, oh, you need something? I'll just bring it home. You know what I mean? So I just throw it in the back of the truck and head home with it. So, I think Cody's up to like 30, 40 cask of aging and just does some super cool, interesting stuff. I'll give a shout out to him. This is the relationship that we have. So we did not the barrel release. We did this last time, but the time before. So give it like right at the beginning of COVID, of course, because that screwed everything up. We did a whiskey weekend there, and I saved back a couple cases of each barrel. So they had like 4 barrel aged beers that came out, and we actually had the physical exact single barrel, because we single barrel everything. Cool. 55. We had the individual whiskey, so you could actually try the whiskey that was in the barrel with that exact beer. It's just super neat to do fun stuff with that. They do in our Wabash Cannonball barrel, so it's 3rd use barrels. They age a Hefeweizen, a wheated beer, and like that's kind of unheard of, and it's delicious. It's just fun. It's fun, weird stuff, and they're great partners. And like I said, they get spoiled because it's like across the street from me, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful relationship.
So if you visit the distillery, I think it's fairly safe to say that it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Have you ever considered, opening a restaurant too that's adjacent to the distillery or something like that? I mean, it seems like there's an opportunity for some other business that just keeps you there even longer,
Oh yeah. So that's kind of I laugh. So when it was always about making bourbon. That was what we wanted to do immediately. And because it's Newtown, it's just literally in the middle of nowhere, and it's a cute little town. I used to think it was a dump, but you grow up and realize it's kind of cute and quaint. And it's about 110 people. It's teeny tiny. My dad's the town board president. I always jokingly say we're like the nicest tax-paying mafia you've ever met around there. But we we have been looking at opening a restaurant. So obviously, Kentucky has this perfected, and I love it. I've been to all those places, and the tourism side of things is fun. If I get you to Newtown, I have you captured, of course, a restaurant, like maybe lodging, all those things is in the works. It's just COVID kind of threw a big old a big old pickle into our whole plan. So the nice thing, I always say this, that we can do that. The only person I have to make happy is my dad, and I don't have a board. I don't have investors. I don't have anyone. I have one guy to keep happy, and he's mad at me because we did a little too well last year. So it's usually and he's not too mad. He's happy as could be. But we're right. we want to grow organically, and if we do it, we want to make sure we do it right, and we're going to spend the money. A perfect example is we almost end of 2019, beginning of 2020, right during COVID. We were looking at spending a couple $1 million on a restaurant, finishing off our entire visitor experience, and which is something that super excites me. It's what I want to do. It's just a headache. That's going to be 25, 30 more employees. It's all the craziness. And I mean, there's part of me that's ready for that, but then part of me is like, oh man, I have it so sweet and simple right now. I kind of want to bury my head and make whiskey, but Dad kind of put it in my lap. He's like, what do you want to do? And we kind of had a family meeting, and I was like, I think we need to double down on what we do best, which is make whiskey. So we actually spent about $250,000 on a brand new, like, enormous glycol, so like all of production. So we could go gangbusters on production, and then COVID hit. And I was like, man, I'm the smartest man in the world. Like, oh my gosh, like, buy me a lottery ticket. And then we turned on that glycol machine, and it destroyed my mash tank. And I had to wait 6 months for another one to get here from Germany. So Murphy's Law, you can't ever win. So it is. So yes, that's in the plans. I mean, I love our customers. I love our fans. Like, they're just incredible. We are looking to build that experience for them. It's just, I always tell people, man, I'm spoiled, and they're like, what's the rush? We're going to stick with the things we know we do right. Trust me, if you see us do something, it will be over the top. You know me, it'll be amazing. So, yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. Is there anybody in the whiskey industry that inspires you? And if so, who?
Oh man. It's the guys that I like. I mean, it's not, it's Alan Bishop. It's Mr. Stump. It's these guys that, like, I know they're doing the same things I am, what I mean? And it's like, they're a treasure trove of information. I mean, what Adam's doing down there, like, I keep messaging him. I'm like, dude, I'm coming down to see that.
Yeah. You got to see
what I mean? Yeah. Like, oh my God, I'm just like,
cool.
I mean, the nerdery, like, I mean, that's like a wet dream for us guys. We're just like, what? This is so cool in the history. And I mean, it's just amazing. Like, those guys, I know they're dealing with the same problems that I am, but like, we all attack it at such a different, like, way. You know what I mean? Like, that's what, so, I mean, the guys I really look up to, I mean, Alan, especially, like, I mean, I just think I love the big, there's the big side, Michael Veach down in Kentucky, super good guy. I mean, responsible for me getting a lot of the incredible press that I get in Kentucky is that guy. I mean, just these people that have taken a chance on me and met me, and then, questioned me, and then, like, I mean, and then they walk away and they're like, and then we're friends. I mean, and it's just incredible. I always say this: the one of the best parts of this is just the relationships. I mean, it's you guys. I mean, come on, it's incredible. This industry is awesome. The people are the best, man. They're so good.
Yeah. So it's still early in the year. So what do you have in the works for 2022?
Oh man. So we've got some whiskeys I can't really tell you about, just banging away on production to try to keep up. I mean, we can't even keep stuff on the shelf right now. It's so crazy. Our barrel picks, we just did market study. Our barrel picks are lasting less than a week. Any place that we drop them off at, we just can't. I mean, it's nuts. So it's like, it's cool because we single barrel everything, and that barrel, I think we're doubling down on that, which is, I think, what we should do. I think it's pretty neat to show off, like, when you buy a bottle of Old 55, that bottle came from one barrel, from one distiller, me, from one family, from one farm. I mean, it's as transparent and as cool as it can be, but that's a lot of work. I mean, it sounds easy, it rolls off the tongue, but it's a lot of work. So more whiskey, I'm trying to think, do I have anything super cool coming out that I can disclose? Just some really cool partnerships. We have a partnership with Steve. Have you heard of the Beck's Hybrids in Indiana?
Yeah, Beck's Hybrids. Yeah.
Yeah. So largest family-owned seed company on the planet, and we are partnering with them. So, and this is kind of Indiana-based. The Lieutenant Governor's office, the Department of Ag, to Purdue University, because the Beck's family is big Purdue graduates, and the Fruits family is all Purdue graduates. So Purdue has kind of put us together. And so we are actually going to turn basically the 184 acres that we farm for the distillery into a humongous test plot. And they're opening all these heritage seeds and hybrids. And we're just going to go
It'd be like a
full
playground.
nerdery.
Yeah.
It's a playground for them, and it's a playground for us because we get to pick. And we've been on this. This has been about almost a year and a half. We've been with this. It's just it's going into the ground this spring. So in 4 years, I think it'll be super cool. Because Bex has partnered with Heaven Hill. They've partnered with Chattanooga, and those partnerships were awesome and netted some really cool things. But they've never, it's like what they tell us. They're like, no one really is more in touch with agriculture than you guys are. And this opportunity is just, it's obviously co-marketing for both of us. So we're going to, in 4 years, we will have a genetically built hybrid you'll have like even our regular base corn number 2 dent will be, no one else will have, So it'll be completely unique. It'll be super cool. So fun.
So, help me out here, because this is always interesting to me when you get into distilling and you weren't brought up in the business. You weren't a distiller from the time you were born. That sometimes happens with generational families where they're just born into the business. So, my question is, and I know you're very self-deprecating and things like that, and humble in that way, but you have to be confident when you're making whiskey. But when did you start believing in yourself? Is it just early tastes with family? Was it more like when the first customers came in and started giving you positive feedback? Did it take until you started winning some awards? When is that moment when you're like, you know what, I'm not too bad at this, actually?
That's an incredible question. Man, like I always say, I knew we kind of spared no expense to buy the nicest equipment we possibly could. Once again, that goes on Dad's shoulders, and all I had to do was kind of screw it up. Does that make sense? So, I always
he gave you all the tools you need to be successful, but so I get that part.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and there was plenty of screw ups. Don't get me wrong. There was a lot of trial and error, but I don't know. I'm kind of the personality that I just kind of hammer through, and I'm pretty self-confident in that way. But I don't know if you've ever heard this story. So so about the first year, which was super cool because my grandpa was around, was still alive then. He's been gone for about 2.5 years. And so for about the first year, I'd be distilling, and my grandpa would just kind of show up out there and he'd be like, "Hey, we got any barrels to taste?" And I didn't have any barrels to taste. And I'd be like, "Yeah, let's go down there." So we just go down, and he'd be like, "All right, no more. I got a golf game this afternoon." It was just me and him palling around. And I was in barrels all the time because I just did. A lot of the stuff we do is just so unique, as far as like proof off the still, like barrel entry, you name. I always say this, like nothing I do is revolutionary. I just mess with everything. Like I don't really leave any stone unturned. And so about a year in, I just was like, I got to stop. I'm done. I'm driving myself crazy. I have no idea if it's going to be good when it comes out. Like we're just going to I got to put some faith in this. I knew I had built the blocks up, and aging whiskey is always kind of the easiest. It's probably the most knowable part of the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I don't think you've heard this story. So it was Thanksgiving, and we were about 3 or 4 months away from straight 2-year-old whiskey.
Okay.
And I took my brothers downstairs in the basement, and I told them, I was like, "Listen, nobody talk. I don't want to hear anybody's opinion. We're just going to be quiet for about 5 minutes. We're going to taste these sweet corn barrels, and then we're all going to chat. What do you think?" And so we get into these sweet corn barrels, and I'm like buzzing because I'm a bourbon guy. I love bourbon. Right. And I was like, "What do you think?" And my little brother, who wasn't really a bourbon drinker at all, was like, "That's like really good." And my older brother's like, "This is delicious." And I was like, "No, this is fantastic. Like, this is fantastic." And then the joke always goes, we went home, and then I told Mom, I said, so my older brother, Chris, I said, "Hey Mom, if Chris is missing and you can't find him, he's dead in the basement, because I told him if I catch him with his friends in the basement thieving barrels, I will murder all of them." So, and to this day, he still asks for permission to go in the basement. So he knows I'm not messing around. Yeah, he knows I'm not messing around. But that was really like when I was like, and we hadn't won any awards yet. That's not true. We had a gold medal on like our corn whiskey at San Francisco, but I was just like, which was the base of like our wheated bourbon. But right. It's corn whiskey. Give me a break. I was really kind of waiting for the older stuff. Bottle of the Bond has always been the push that we wanted. And, the awards in the last 2.5 years that we have captured with those products is just insane. It's been fun, and it's cool to now. I mean, Steve, you know this as a business. It's really cool. Alan and I talk about this sometimes, like when your ego's gone, like there's no more ego in it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have anything else to prove. You're just doing it because you love it and all the people that love it with you. And it's, man, I mean, just living the dream, man. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Our last question, we always like to do a little bit of a goofy one, throw it out there again, kind of get to know our guest a little bit on a personal basis. So if you had the opportunity to be on a game show, what is one that you think you could excel at?
Oh man.
So
first of all, I watch like zero TV. So, but man, when we were, when I was a kid, so mid 80s, what was the no whammy game?
Oh yeah.
Do you know what that is? I can't tell this. It'd be that one. I just always think of a game
or something
show.
Like that. Yeah.
I always think of my mom we had these old VHS tapes of me sitting in front of the TV watching that going, no whammy. And I'm like a toddler, I'm like, no whammy. Yeah, it would be that one. I'd want to be that one.
There you go. The no whammy. Yes. Yes, had the little cartoon guy in there and that. So,
yeah, exactly. The little crazy man.
Fun. Yeah, very cool. Well, Jason, let's hear it for Mr. Jason Fruits. Really appreciate it, buddy. Great stuff.
Thank you, guys.
We'll bring you on at the end of the show to share contact information, all that. Is that okay? You can stick around?
Absolutely.
All right, that sounds good. We'll, of course, keep you for a little after the show Q&A with the audience. All right, with that, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk to Elba. We'll do that in just a few. Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot in the greater St. Louis area. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only focuses on single barrels. We aren't open just yet, but our plan is to have the most diverse single barrel offerings from our many friends in the world of bourbon. By signing up for a weekly email, you will know our entire inventory we have on hand. In addition to single barrels, we'll have a tasting bar and a gift shop featuring logo merchandise for both the shop and the ABV network, as well as a full curriculum of bourbon education classes. Additionally, we'll use the gift shop to feature products from our partners in the world of bourbon, companies like Art Eatable Chocolates and Old Man Bay Signs. Head over to ABV Barrel Shop to sign up for our email and text distribution list so you can stay in the know. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent visits to Kentucky. Today, he's leading the way for young distillers making their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery combines family history, a look at what makes their products unique, and of course a tasting through their whiskeys, moonshines, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com and visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
I'm McNew. Don't mix your grain and grapes. Not a good time. You're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
All right, our next guest is a bourbon diplomat out of New Jersey from Maker's Mark. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Elba Giron. Hey, Elba, how you doing?
Hola. How are you guys?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We always get started with, again, a question that's a little bit different. And on Instagram, your name is Bourbon JLo. So you're obviously a fan of Jennifer Lopez. If you could have dinner with her, what would you talk about?
Oh God.
Yeah, this is one-on-one time with JLo.
It's a tough one. First of all, she doesn't drink, so
Okay.
that would probably be
out.
a boring conversation. And I have to admit, I mean, I am guilty pleasure who doesn't like good gossip. So I think I might dive into her personal life, find out with Mark Anthony, find out what happened, like the real story with Alex Rodriguez, and see how things are going with Ben Affleck. I mean, I'll get into that.
You'd go for it, right? This is like your one chance. So J-Lo, maybe you win it in like a charity auction or something like that. You get your one chance. You're at dinner. You're just going to start firing off those questions, huh? You're not going to hold back
into it. But what else to talk about? I mean, I love the fact that she's just so career driven, and I'm despite obviously her, you know, the headlines and whatever her personal life is, she's just so driven. And to hear her story, where she started and how she grew, and what she continues to do, I think she's a very, very good role model for Latinas like myself and other women.
So you are ushered into the restaurant. J-Lo's already sitting there, and you sit down. And do you tell her on Instagram you're Bourbon J-Lo? And if so, what do you think she thinks of that? Is that good or bad? I don't know. She might be like, "Oh, that's terrible. Why would you do that?" Or she might think it's great.
She probably just tell me to stop using her name. I mean, why? I mean, who knows? I mean, seriously. And that nickname, it came from a fluke. I mean, my coworkers make fun of me. At one point, because of my name, Elba, they used to call me Quercus Alba. So that was relevant to the industry. And I mean, just my work ethic and how much I love my job and what I do. That nickname came about, and I loved it. I stick with it. So
all right. So let's fast forward. You have the dinner, and then the day after, you get on Instagram and you see that the singing Elba has followed you. It's J-Lo, but she's changed her name as a tribute to you, since you are a tribute to her. How wild would that be?
That would be incredible. She has a killer voice. I don't. I mean, I'll shoot whiskey with you. I can't sing a song to save my life.
Yeah. You guys could walk out of that dinner and be best friends. It's a distinct possibility, I think. It could happen. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
You still got to call us and come on our shows and stuff, though. You can't. You can't. It's like I call Elba and she'll be like, "Talk to my people. I'm friends with J-Lo now, please."
She gets the verified blue check. She doesn't need us.
Right. Yeah. So, Elba, before we get into your duties at Maker's Mark, tell us how you end up there. How does it happen that you end up working for such a great company?
Good Lord. I mean, do you want the real story, or I mean?
Yeah. Let's hear the real deal here.
Real deal. So I think it goes back to me falling in love with the industry as a whole. I started off as a bartender. Okay. Believe it or not, I stared out at Medieval Times slinging drinks.
Really? What a place. Yeah.
I credit that. I mean, seriously, I would have never gotten into this industry if it wasn't for the people that I worked with. And, you know, along the years, I loved being behind the bar. I fell in love with spirits, and for me, it was more about creating drinks. And at the time, I worked with some chefs that actually taught me about flavors and putting them together. And fast forward, you know, I left that industry. It's not really sustainable, and I can understand why the industry is what it is today. But I respect all of the hospitality workers. But fast forward, I found myself falling in love with whiskey. I ended up working with Edrington for almost 4 years on their single malt portfolio. And that was really the first time that I got to understand what whiskey was and really understand the craft, and had a chance to fly out to Scotland and spent some time at our distilleries in Scotland. I think my favorite one by far is Highland Park, which has so many nuances that remind me of Makers. But from my single malt whiskey days, I thought it was a good idea to fall in love. I chased my ex-husband down to Charleston, and I spent 4 years there, where the culture is so different, and I loved it.
Right.
But that journey took me, actually, it introduced me to Beam Suntory. It's actually where I started working for Beam in Charleston, and I spent a year and a half there before I met Jane Bowie. And she's the one who actually asked me to come up and work for Makers in New Jersey, which New York was really the goal, but I'm from New Jersey, and given the opportunity to come back to my home state and kind of make a debut, was anything that I can ask for. And I mean, it's been incredible. 4.5 years later, working for makers here in New Jersey and being able to share their story and drink great whiskey. So yeah, in a roundabout way, that's how I ended up there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your roles and responsibilities for your job. What exactly, and I know probably every day is different. It's such a neat job, but in general, what are the things that you are tasked with doing?
The role itself we're an extension of the distillery. We get to share the stories that we hear from Bill Samuels directly. I mean, we're really in our respective roles. We're out to bring the story, the distillery to life in each of our respective markets. So that's a part of it. I mean, I get to share all of that. And of course, I get to talk whiskey. I mean, I manage all of our barrel programs here in New Jersey. So I get to sit in on every one of our barrel selections, whether we're in the state or we're traveling to Kentucky, which is my favorite. Like
right.
Any chance that I get to share the distillery and bring our customers out, bartenders, liquor store owners, even consumers that are now, even more interested to buying barrels, and whether it's for a charitable organization or their whiskey club, to share that experience at Makers. Everything that made me fall in love with the distillery is something that it's the highlight of what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Well, you already mentioned one of our favorite people in the industry, a person who's been on this exact same show, and that's Jane Bowie. Tell us a little bit about what it's like working for her.
I love her. She's so tough, but I say that in the most endearing of ways because she's got such high standards, and she knows what she's looking for in the diplomats, in the diplomat program. She just has this way of identifying the right person that's going to be able to share the story, that's going to do it in a way that's authentic. And most importantly, she has a way of coaching you and making you feel like you are that much involved in every part of the process, whether it's picking up, milling our grains, distilling, whether it's mashing, even down to our innovation. She keeps us so close to heart with every part of the process. I mean, probably she tells us sometimes too much, but trust that we're going to keep that to ourselves. And I think that there, she's just awesome, all around awesome.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. 100% there. Yeah.
And a friend above all, like one of the most caring people that I've ever met.
Yeah, she's definitely special.
Yeah.
What makes your company so special? Why is Maker's Mark so cool? What's so great about them?
The whiskey. the people day in and day out. Like that's something that I haven't had ever working for any company, to feel the camaraderie, but more importantly, like when I travel to Kentucky, the distillery workers that say hello, that know your name, that is probably one of the highlight of every single one of my trip. And one of the most special parts is being able to know who everyone is. And obviously the people that touch the different parts of making our whiskeys, but then feeling like you are truly that extension when you go out to market. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but man, even down to Bill Samuels, like walking in and it hasn't, for me personally, it was 2 years since the last time I saw him. Obviously COVID shut it all down, and I went to Makers back in July, and sure enough, he knew my name. I didn't even have to reintroduce myself or anything. So that says something, that, when you work for a family like the Samuels family, who's changed the industry in so many ways, and they recognize you and they know the work that you're doing, that speaks volumes.
Right. Yeah, he's one of the all-time greats. Gosh, he's just a tie-in to the best times in the bourbon industry. So yeah, what an honor it is to be able to work with him, see him, know him. He knows your name. Gosh, I wish he knew my name. That would be kind of cool, but he doesn't.
I got you.
I appreciate that. All right. Well, now is our special time because it's time for a question from McNew. McNew, take it over.
All right, so I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about New Jersey or the East Coast, but what is the bourbon scene like in New Jersey? And do you have any favorite bourbon bars if we were to visit?
Ooh, yeah, the bourbon scene in Jersey. First of all, Jersey is known for the Jersey Shore, the show, and of course the beach, the shore. So that's one thing I would say if you're coming out to visit. But the bourbon scene is growing. It's something that I feel, over the last 15 years, it's changed completely. I feel like New Jersey has so much to catch up with, because New York is right over the bridge, right up, obviously right through the tunnel. And we're always a few steps behind, but I feel over the past maybe 10, 15 years, the scene has changed tremendously, from obviously the bottles that are behind the bar, whether it's, allocated stuff or even the cocktails. I would say my most favorite bar, I would probably say hang out in the Jersey City area, because there's a few cocktail bars. One called the Archer, one called Doughboy, another one called South House. But in this little area of Jersey City called the Grove area, you have so many cool cocktail bars and really great bourbon selections at these bars.
Nice. So, Bill Samuels Jr. and the Samuels family, which is so neat about Maker's Mark, is the fact that they are part of a huge conglomerate in Beam Suntory. But they make a lot of whiskey. They're one of the biggest whiskey bourbon providers in the world. But at the same time, it still has this small family feel about it. And the fact that the family is still involved, they're hands-on, I think is very cool. So what's it like working for a very large company, but also has a small family feel to it?
It's a lot of responsibility. Mm-hmm. It really is. Because we answer to the larger parent company, Beam Suntory, we obviously have, our goals like every other distillery, right? We're here to make money. We're here to sell our brands. We're here to, talk about our whiskeys. But I think that Rob Samuels taking over the distillery is someone who has heralded that small distillery feel, that family feel.
Yeah.
And it really is something special to be able to, knowing that we have these goals to meet, but at the same time, the work that we do is championed all over the world. Really, we get to highlight and talk about and host events in ways that shares a story, that allows us to touch, these key parts of the business without ever feeling like there's this pressure behind the scenes. And I think that's probably one of the best parts of my job, is that to champion that story and to talk about the history and everything that Makers has, contributed to the industry, is something that I'm tasked to do. And I do it in a way that is engaging and meaningful. But still always having that business side, that business mindset behind the scenes.
Yeah. Elba, it's so great that you're paired on a show with Jason, because between the two of you, I don't know that there's a whole lot of more family focused individuals in the business. I mean, you guys are two of the absolute best, and there's a lot of family businesses out there, but I just think of you two in particular when I think of family focused. And of course, if we follow you on something like Instagram, we're going to get to know you and your family, because you can see how important it is. We see photos of your nieces and nephews, brothers, and your mom, and of course your father. So tell us a little bit why family's so important to you, and then how does that play into your job too? Does family end up playing into carving out who you are and into your work as well?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, first of all, I'm honored to be on the show with you all, and aside Jason as well, hearing the history and the heritage that y'all are carving out for your distillery and your family as well. So that's exciting to be a part of that journey and really to see how you all grow and share the whiskey that you make and the stories that you're going to create over the years. But for me, I think that that's the foundation. Family is by far what's going to drive your motivation, your passion, your work ethic. And that's something that I learned at a very young age, how important it was, obviously to have your integrity and your work ethic. I got to see it at a very young age, with my dad, who passed away. And as I get to as I talk to my brothers, as I share stories, as we, reminisce what he used to do, what his core values were. I can see how much of that reflects in us. And that was one thing. I mean, he gave everything for his family, from migrating over, to the US from El Salvador, and obviously taking care of his family, his immediate family, of course, in his home country, but then everything that he did to, become a citizen, to take care of his family here, and my mom and my brothers, that was something that he was proud of. He was proud of, and that foundation gave me the strength, even as a business professional, but more so as a person. It's everything to me. Seeing my nieces grow up is something that is precious. And it's also something that I share in the work that I do with makers, to be able to grow with the distillery, to be able to share my story and of course the stories that I have alongside the other diplomats. I think that all of that is what drives my passion for working for makers, and to have that relationship, to really feel that closeness with Rob, with Denny, with Jane, and even with our diplomats across the US and overseas. We really have created this family, this work family that really does take care of each other on any level, personal and of course, work wise.
Yeah. Yeah. It's still, my father plays a huge role in my life still too. And he's been gone. It'll be 10 years this year, which is hard for me to believe, but it's amazing how that can play a role. My dad, one of the things that he used to say though, because he was so involved in his work, he's a policeman, and he used to say, and of course he made it to major, and then he ended up getting into the private sector. He got out of police work just because it was more lucrative. I think he should have stayed being a policeman because that's what he loved. That was truly his passion. But he used to say that the most amazing story to me is he used to say, if you do things right in your career, you can manage from the grave. And what I mean by that, as a policeman, you inspire others to work and do things. And the funniest thing happened. It's just it's almost like it's not even real. But when my dad, the guy who ended up being police chief like 2 times after he had gone, was the guy that my dad had mentored. So on the police department, you have somebody you mentor. So this guy was the ended up being the police chief, and there was a change. And that was going to happen. It was getting ready to be announced. I knew that when my dad passed away, unfortunately. He was very involved, who was going to be and all that. And at my dad's funeral, a guy comes up who was the mentor of my dad's protege, of the other guy. Joe Mokel was my dad's protege. And then his protege was a guy by the name of Sam Dotson. And Sam Dotson came up to me at my dad's funeral and said, on Monday, we're going to announce, it's getting ready to be announced that I have been named police chief. And I thought, my dad who said you could manage from the grave, here it is, the straight line from my dad on down. He's inspired by inspiring the guy who was his mentor, that exactly what he said. So those lessons can still come even after they're gone, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is your favorite Maker's Mark product? That's tough, right? Probably the worst question I could ask you, maybe.
Choose one. All right. I do have a favorite. I do.
Okay.
Maker's 46.
Maker's 46.
Down.
Okay. Yeah.
Hands down. And I love cast strength Maker's 46,
but
the original, the 94 proof, there's just something about it. And for me, listen, I will take Maker's, any one of our whiskeys, and I will substitute any spirit for Maker's. And that's probably the running joke, is I can take a pina colada, substitute the rum for Maker's. I can take a daiquiri and a margarita, a Paloma, whatever you can think of. But man, Maker's 46s go like through and through, just such a stand-up bourbon, full flavor. Just all around, great for cocktails, great for sipping, great for taking, shooting a shot right out of the bottle, pick your preference. But yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. You, like me, you're in the bourbon industry, but you're not in Kentucky, but you spend time in Kentucky with obviously a lot. So what are the things that you enjoy doing, maybe it's places to eat or things like that when you're in Kentucky? Outside of the distillery stuff, of course, there's a lot of things. And I know you love going to Maker's Mark, which is a beautiful distillery. But what are some of the other things you like to do? And I think we have one in common for sure, Bourbon's Bistro, right? Yeah, I love Bourbon's
100%, you
Bistro.
stole it.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because I'm from St. Louis, you're from New Jersey, and we'll run into each other, not even knowing you're in town. We'll run into each other at Bourbon's Bistro. And it's happened more than once. It's not like, well, that's just a random thing. No, it happens.
We've even sung karaoke upstairs
Right.
in the back room. So, but yes, you nailed it. That is by far one of my favorite things. I mean,
Everything about it's good. Yeah.
The food scene in Kentucky is by far one of the best that I've ever had outside of Jersey as well. I mean, there's obviously better, but it's just awesome. And there's something about Jason's Bar, Bourbon's Bistro, that just pulls me in over and over and over again.
Special. Yeah.
Everything from Jason. I mean, obviously
the fact he's there. Yeah.
Always. He's always there. You can call him up, let him know, hey, I'll be there. And then Mikey behind the bar, who's by far one of my favorites. But man, I think to top that, and I don't know if anyone has ever done this, but it is tradition after every single barrel selection, right? We take our group out to dinner and everything else, but pre-pandemic, and it's still fun after, but Third Street Dive. That's by far.
That's the place to go, huh? Yeah.
It sure is. After dinner, late night, like that is your nightcap place, but you will stay there till 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh gosh.
And I'm telling you, like even before the pandemic, of course, that they're known for karaoke and their awesome Jim Beam flavor and whatever beer shot special they have. But that's just a place that near and dear. Doesn't matter when we go, any time of the year, it is always going to be a good time.
Nice. All right, last question. Always a goofy one, as we know. What is your favorite holiday themed movie?
Oh my God. Yeah, I get ridiculed for this one. 2. Okay. I have to say 2.
We'll give you 2. Okay? We'll give you 2.
First is I am a hopeless romantic for anything Hallmark movies.
Oh gosh.
Gotta love them.
You can come over and hang out with my mom. Yeah, when does that start? Like August? They start with their Christmas movies. My mom is so into that. Yeah.
Anything. Listen, I know they're gonna fall in love. I know they're gonna get married. I know they're gonna end up together. But something about Candace Cameron and all the other girls, like Lacey Chabet and whatever. Something about that. I don't know. And you know what? I do know where it came from. It's a tradition that started with my dad in 2018. And don't ask me why. He was visiting me in Charleston with my mom for the holidays. And we had just found ourselves sitting on the couch watching Hallmark Channel, like movies.
Right.
Like on a loop, like all day long. And that was something that I got comfortable and obviously I enjoyed watching it with my dad. And now I feel like now for me, it's a forever tradition. It's totally a connection.
Right. Yeah.
But the all-time favorite is Elf.
Elf, yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Will Ferrell in that movie, I mean, he just outdoes himself. It's such a stupid movie, but it's just fun. It's fun. It's quirky. It's goofy. And even just to see, obviously, some people and some of my friends in the industry will actually role play and dress up as elves and run around New York City and take the escalators up and down Macy's. I have Instagram stories to prove it, but yeah, it's just a good movie.
I agree. That's a really, really good one. I enjoy that one. You like that one too, McNew? Elf?
Yeah, that's one of my favorites, like top 5 favorites. Like I watch it 20 times the month of December.
Time out for 1 second. Doesn't your husband hate Will Ferrell?
Oh, he does, and I didn't know that till after we were married.
That would have been a deal breaker.
We were already hitched when he told me.
So, what is his thoughts about Elf? If he can't stand Will Ferrell, does he not like that movie?
He's really not a big Christmas movie guy, so I just annoy him all of December every year because I love Christmas movies, and he just suffers through. It's just on the list.
That's good. He suffers through and watch it. I don't know how you can't think that's funny. I don't know.
It's one of the greatest ones of all time, and he's like, I just hate Will Ferrell. I'm like, no, this is excellent. You don't understand how good it is.
Right. Well, there you go. Well, Elba, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you being part of this. Thank you. So we'll wrap this one up as we always do. We like to talk about where people can find our guests. So we'll start with you, Elba. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at bourbonjlo, bourbon_JLo, and I'll see you there.
Okay, sounds good. Jason, how about you?
You can check out the website, old55distillery.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Old55Distillery as well. That's the best place.
All right, here we are enjoying vacation, and we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Justine, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
You can find me at JA_Maze on Instagram. You can find our shop at abvnetwork.com and on Instagram at abvnetworkshop.
All right, McNew.
I am on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. We've also got a company website. That thing's abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. Previous shows, blogs, so much more. Maybe you're going on a summer road trip. We've got about 3,000 shows you can listen to, so check us out at abvnetwork.com. Please also check out abvbarrelshop.com. Get on our email distribution list. We'll let you know what's in the store, when we're going to be getting things open. Our target date right now is July 9th. It looks very good for that. Of course, some of the things are out of our hands, licensing and that, but it looks like we're going to be on track for that. And, barring any bump in the road, we should be good to go. And I'm very excited about that. So there you go, abvbarrelshop.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I would like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the Network.
All right, there you go. Well, the three of us will be back tomorrow when we introduce the next show while we're on vacation. Take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's upcoming Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.